Have you ever heard of the marshmallow test? No, that's not the one. There's a pretty cool marshmallow test that was developed decades ago to see how well kids can handle temptation. And some of the things that they learned were pretty amazing. The experiment started by giving a 4-year-old a marshmallow. And then the experimenter said, "You can eat this whenever you want, but if you wait until I come back, you'll get an additional marshmallow. If you eat it before I come back, then you don't get any extra marshmallows." Then the adult would leave for 10 minutes and come back to see what happened. About 1 out of 3 kids would eat the marshmallow in the first 30 seconds. Another 1 of the 3 would eat the marshmallow later, but before the adult came back. And only about 1 out of 3 made it to the end of the test. What's interesting is that this test showed how successful somebody would be later in life. The kids who didn't eat the marshmallow became a lot more successful than those who ate it. They did better in tests, did better with other people, and they had better health at 10, 20, and 30 years later. This simple test was better in testing how someone would turn out than their IQ scores or how smart their parents were. In fact, this test was so good in showing this advanced thinking that a lot of researchers didn't think that animals would be able to pass this test. And most animals aren't able to, but a few are, including one special animal that surprised almost everybody. It's the amazing cuttlefish. It's got a funny name because it's not actually a fish and it doesn't cuddle either, but it's called a cuttlefish anyways. Researchers were able to set up a marshmallow test with shrimp and crawfish instead of marshmallows, but it had the same idea, and the cuttlefish was able to wait for the better treat. And maybe it shouldn't be a surprise because the cuttlefish is an incredibly brilliant animal. It's able to camouflage itself better than almost any animal. It's got incredible vision with beautifully designed eyes. It's got special tentacles that shoot out and capture prey at a super fast speed, and they're even able to hypnotize their prey as they hunt. It's an incredible creation with great intelligence. And as for people, this marshmallow test showed that having delayed gratification is a really important piece of intelligence. It's really important to learn valuable things in school, but if you learn content in schools without developing character, it won't last, and you won't be as prepared for life as much as you think you should be. Developing character counts, and this marshmallow test was a test of delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is deciding to give up something that feels good now for something better later. If you're not able to wait for something that you want that feels good, then it means that you don't have a lot of self-discipline. And let's be honest, it's hard for all of us to do what's right sometimes. Paul from the Bible said, "I want to do what's good, but I don't. I don't want to do what is wrong, but I do it anyway." You may not feel like that always, but can you think of a time that you felt like that? He's not making an excuse, but he is explaining the battle that we often feel. The creator of the marshmallow test later discovered that even if you failed the marshmallow test when you were 4, it doesn't mean that you're doomed for a bad life. We're able to learn self-control. And while anybody can get better at self-control, the Bible says that self-control is one of the fruits of the Spirit. And that means that God is the one who's able to help us have self-control and self-discipline more than anyone else. One of the powerful ways to be self-controlled, to wait for something better, is to focus your mind on something different. The kids who looked away from the marshmallow had a much better chance of not eating. And even the cuttlefish looked away from the treat while it was waiting for the better prize. But this super tip for self-discipline was in the Bible long ago. The Bible tells us we must keep our eyes on Jesus, who leads us and makes our faith complete. He endured the shame of being nailed to a cross because he knew later on he would be glad he did. Now he's seated at the right side of God's throne. So keep your mind on Jesus, who put up with many insults from sinners. Then you won't get discouraged and give up. Jesus didn't want to feel pain and suffering on the cross. But even more than avoiding suffering, Jesus had something beautiful in mind. He wanted a real relationship with you and me. In order to have that relationship with us forever, he would have to die on the cross. So he died so that we could live with him forever in heaven. He suffered knowing that something better would come. How can you trust God for delayed gratification right now? Is there something really difficult in your life that you just wish was gone right now? Are you tired of waiting for something that you've wanted forever? Does it feel like it's just too hard to keep working so hard so that later you can get rewarded? Look, there are many things in your life that will make you want to take shortcuts to get something good now. I know that there are difficult things and it doesn't seem fair, but what I can tell you is that when you trust in Jesus, He will take care of you. It doesn't happen in your time. It doesn't happen the way that you expect, but God's way is always the best way, even if it's the long way. And we can ask God for help. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline." So next time you feel overwhelmed and you feel tempted to give up and take the easy way when it's not right, I want to encourage you to ask God to give you that power and love and self-discipline. I love you, and I'm excited for your growth in this area. Remember, keep fueling yourself with God's love and truth.